Some high school students feel that applying to college can be practically a full-time job. Writing a college essay, taking tests, navigating finances and financial aid, and then finally that big decision. Senior year is an exciting time as our students prepare for their next steps in life, but some will need assistance or a little nudging from their family members to make sure that they have their applications ready, understand the process, and are aware of the deadlines and expectations. As part of a continuing series transitioning through the senior year, we will focus on the college application process and writing the perfect essay. I'm here today with Courtney Merridew, a school counselor for Chesterfield County Public Schools, and Emily Staines, secondary literacy curriculum specialist, to talk about the Common App and writing that perfect college essay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So your experience, could you share a little bit about your experience in this process and how you have this information now about writing the essay, the application process?
So formerly, before I was a teacher and before I was the secondary specialist, I was actually a junior admissions counselor for a school in Pittsburgh, near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So part of my job was not only to recruit students, but it was also to review college applications and college essays and be part of that college decision as to whether or not we were going to accept or deny students. So that transitioned me pretty nicely into being a teacher of seniors when I taught AP English, as one of the big initial assignments was to write their college application essays. So I spend a lot of time with them and their families, making sure that they've written an essay that's both cohesive, but it also really speaks to them as individuals.
And Courtney?
And I was a school counselor at Thomasdale for 4 years before moving to the Tech Center for this year. And in that 4 years, each year I had a little over 100 seniors, and most of them did apply to college. And so working with them through the whole process, whether it's working on common applications or individual applications, ordering transcripts, anything that came with it, we worked through.
So, I say I'm the parent of a senior, and I have been the parent of a senior before. We're starting senior year, and they're thinking about everything under the sun. One of the big ones, college, or what they're going to do from their next steps. What should I be doing right now if I think my child is wanting or interested in going to college? Is there anything that needs to be done early first of the year?
One thing I would suggest is making sure that you've done the research on which colleges the student is interested in, and then look up when are the deadlines for the applications. That's going to help you set your calendars to when do I need to get everything done. If the student has not already taken the SAT or ACT, it is good to go ahead and get that done with at the beginning of the senior year. And then just going from there to see when do I need to have my essays done, when do I need to have my letters of recommendation submitted, and all of those steps. It's typically listed out on the application process.
I think I would also encourage students and their families to choose one or two of their high priority colleges, not just to do a virtual tour online, but to actually take the time and go and visit the school. Oftentimes the feel and the experience that you're going to have is going to be different when you actually set foot on the campus. And I would also encourage families not to go on the really big recruit day, because oftentimes that can feel like a more contrived experience, but go on a normal Tuesday or a normal Wednesday and see what the campus feels like for you.
That's fantastic. And so as you start the process, you mentioned the essay, and a lot of times people don't pay a lot of attention to the weight of the essay and what that does or the role that it plays in the application process. Would you, both of you share, but Emily, start off with, what do you think is key in that college application or the college essay?
So I think what's really interesting about the college essay is that it's really changed, especially now that schools have the opportunity to give students the score waiver, where a student can decide whether or not they want to necessarily send scores if they meet a certain requirement. That essay is a very pivotal component to understand who are you outside of your test scores. Oftentimes as students really struggle with an SAT or an ACT, or they struggled maybe even in school with specific standardized assessments that they might have taken. So the essay is the opportunity for you to showcase yourself as an individual and also show a college why should they invest in you. This isn't a time to have a resume, but this is really the opportunity for you to showcase who you are.
And I would definitely suggest taking time with that essay. I wouldn't rush through it, and definitely proofread it, because not every application that you submit online will have spell check. That is one thing that we've noticed. So take time to look through it, have someone else read it for you if you're the student, ask maybe a parent or a teacher if they have the time and if they're able to read it, just because you want to make sure you're putting the best quality into that essay as well.
That's a good call, especially in people that have grown up in the age of spell check. So the college application process, really now is centered around the Common Application, or the Common App as it's called, which was new to me when I navigated this with my children several years ago, which we didn't have when we were applying to college. So if this is your first time back at the college application scene, could you speak a little bit about the Common App and what are the benefits of that?
Well, the Common Application, it's a platform, it's one application that you can fill out for all of the schools that you're applying to that are members of the Common App. They have over 700 members, so majority of the in-state schools, as well as quite a few of out-of-state schools, 700 different ones, are members of this Common Application. You fill out all of your general information, so anything that you would be putting on an application, you fill it all in there. And then you can apply it to whichever schools you select to be a part of your Common App. And from there may be some supplemental questions that each school might ask, but you only had one application that you had to fill out for the most part, and it saves you lots of time. It keeps you organized because it'll have a dashboard for you that'll tell you what dates different things are due, and it'll help you keep up with what needs to be submitted as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's wonderful.
So, and you had mentioned supplemental. So I know in my children, they had to write supplemental essays. So how do you kind of keep track of all of that? I mean, how many essays are you looking at writing for the Common App?
Well, there is one general essay that you write, just a standard essay that can be applied to different schools. Some schools only use that, but some others ask for some specific questions, maybe some paragraph essays or other essays that they're looking for. It's going to be based on school, and the Common App will let you know which one is which.
And also, not every school requires every supplemental essay, so sometimes what they'll say is the essays are optional. And optional is a really interesting word because it sounds as if you do have an option. But oftentimes, if you are competing with a student who has completed the supplemental essays and they've knocked it out of the park, and unfortunately you made the decision not to write the supplemental essays because that student went above and beyond and you did not, there's some quality criterion that goes into that as well of how it speaks to you as a student if you choose to go above and beyond or if you choose not to. So I would encourage all students to take advantage of writing all supplemental essays.
I agree.
That's a good call, and that I know from teaching that is something that you always appreciate the person that goes a little bit further. Well, thanks so much. If there's anything else left that you would say that you would give in terms of a last minute, one plug for this fall, what they should be doing right now?
One thing I would reiterate is visit the schools because it is very different on campus versus online. And so make sure you've done your research, make sure they have the major you're interested in, and that you go and visit because that may be where that student is staying for the next 4 years.
And any plug for the final perfect essay?
Yeah, I think I would really encourage students to think about common experiences that you have every day, but how they have impacted you. And now how you're going to grow as a result. Oftentimes students think, well, I got a C in a class just like everybody gets a C in a class, or they trivialize experiences that they've all had. But in all reality, even something negative like potentially a C on your report card, even though we see that as a growth opportunity, sometimes students don't. And that could be an awesome essay topic for you to write about how this happened to you one time, but all the steps that you've learned now that you can apply and you're currently applying and that you'll apply in the future. So think about those everyday experiences and how they might be more nuanced for you.
It's a great way to get to know a college and for them to get to know you. Well, thank you both so much for all you do to serve the students and families of Chesterfield County Public Schools. And thanks for sharing some of your expertise today. And thank you for joining us on Engage Chesterfield.